Chapter 1. Kill the motivation myth. Stop waiting. Stop waiting for the lightning bolt to strike. Stop waiting for the perfect morning where you wake up feeling inspired, energized, and ready to conquer the world. That feeling is a lie. Motivation is a chemical ghost. It is a fleeting spike of dopamine that shows up when things are easy and vanishes the moment things get hard. If you base your life on motivation, you are building your future on shifting sand. You are making your success dependent on a mood. And moods are unreliable. Amateurs wait for motivation, professionals follow the system. You have a choice. You can be the person who only works when the sun is shining and the spirit is willing, or you can be the person who gets it done because it is on the schedule. Most people choose the former. They check their internal temperature before they commit to their goals. They ask themselves, do I feel like going to the gym today? Do I feel like making those sales calls? Do I feel like writing that chapter? If the answer is no, they stay in bed. They tell themselves they are listening to their body. They aren't listening to their body, they are listening to their weakness. That's the key. Success is not a feeling. Success is a mathematical result of repeated actions. It doesn't care if you are tired. It doesn't care if you are sad. It doesn't care if you are bored. The universe does not reward inspiration, it rewards consistency. Amateurs wait for motivation, professionals follow the system. Think about the elite. Think about a world-class champion. Do you think a gold medalist only trains when they are motivated? Absolutely not. On a cold, rainy Tuesday at 4 a.m., when their joints ache and their bed is warm, they don't look for a reason to get up. They don't watch a motivational video to get their blood pumping. They get up because it is 4 a.m. They get up because the system says it is time to work. The system is the master. The feelings are the servant. When you rely on motivation, you are a slave to your chemistry. When you rely on discipline, you are the master of your destiny. You don't need their permission to be great. You don't need a sign from the universe to move forward. You only need the schedule. It's not about inspiration, it's about discipline. Let's look at the motivation trap in real time. You start a new project. You're excited. The first 3 days are easy because the novelty provides a dopamine hit. You think you've finally found your passion. But on day 4, the novelty wears off. The work gets boring. The results haven't shown up yet. This is where the amateur quits. They say, I guess I just lost my spark. They wait for the next spark to come along, and they spend their entire lives starting things they never finish. The professional knows that day 4 is where the real work begins. The professional understands that the spark is irrelevant. They follow the system. They do the work precisely because they don't feel like doing it. Every time you work when you don't feel like it, you are killing the amateur inside of you. You are hardening your mind. You are proving to yourself that your will is stronger than your whims. Amateurs wait for motivation, professionals follow the system. You have a choice every single morning. You can check your emotions, or you can check your to-do list. One leads to a life of what-ifs and regret. The other leads to a life of I did and power. Stop looking for the why and start focusing on the how. How do you get it done? You put one foot in front of the other. You ignore the voice in your head that says, maybe tomorrow. You treat your goals like a biological necessity. You don't negotiate with yourself about whether or not you should breathe. You don't negotiate about whether or not you should eat. Your discipline must be just as vital. It's not about your mood, it's about your mandate. Motivation is for the weak. It's for the people who need a cheerleader to get off the couch. You are not one of those people. You are building a fortress of relentless consistency. A fortress isn't built in a day of high energy, it is built stone by stone, through the heat, through the cold, through the rain, and through the boredom. Each stone represents a day you followed the system when you wanted to quit. That's the key to unbreakable mental toughness. It is the ability to ignore the chemical spike and lean into the mechanical grind. If you want to change your life, stop chasing the high of motivation. Start respecting the law of the system. The system is cold. The system is unfeeling. The system is certain. When you follow a system, you remove the burden of decision making. Decision fatigue is what kills progress. If you have to decide to work every day, you will eventually decide not to. But if the decision is already made, if the system is set in stone, then the work becomes automatic. Amateurs wait for motivation, professionals follow the system. You don't need their permission to be consistent. You don't need the world to applaud your effort. You don't even need to like the work while you're doing it. You just need to finish it. Think of your mind as a biological computer. Motivation is a glitch. It makes you think you need a specific condition to run the program. Discipline is the operating system. It runs regardless of the weather. It runs regardless of the noise. It runs until the task is complete. It's not about how you feel, it's about what you do. From this moment on, stop using the word motivation. Delete it from your vocabulary. It is an excuse used by people who are afraid of the grind. Replace it with standard operating procedure. What is your SOP for your health? What is your SOP for your career? What is your SOP for your mind? Follow the procedure. Ignore the internal dialogue. You have a choice. You can be a victim of your fluctuating hormones, or you can be a victor through your unwavering schedule. One is a life of chaos. The other is a life of destiny. Amateurs wait for motivation, professionals follow the system. You have successfully killed the myth. You have realized that feeling like it is a luxury you can no longer afford. You have embraced the mechanical nature of true greatness. You are ready to stop being a slave to your moods and start being the commander of your actions. You mastered the myth of motivation. Now, it's time to raise the bar and look at the laws that will govern your new life. Chapter 2, The Law of Non-Negotiable Standards. Chapter 2, The Law of Non-Negotiable Standards. Most people live their lives based on preferences. They do what they prefer to do. They eat what they prefer, they work when they prefer, and they rest when they prefer. This is the recipe for a mediocre existence. If you want to build a fortress of relentless consistency, you must move beyond preferences and embrace standards. Specifically, non-negotiable standards. These are the rules of your life that remain standing even when the world tries to knock them down. You have a choice. You can have a life of convenience, or you can have a life of character. You cannot have both. Character is built in the moments when you do what is required, not what is convenient. We do not negotiate with our goals. Think about the boundaries in your life. Most people have boundaries that are made of sand. When a friend asks them to go out for drinks instead of going to the gym, the boundary washes away. When they feel a little tired, the boundary disappears. Their goals are merely suggestions they make to themselves. But for the elite, goals are mandates. A non-negotiable standard is a line in the dirt that you refuse to cross. It is the 5 a.m. wake-up call that happens whether you slept 4 hours or 8. It is the workout that happens whether you are traveling or at home. That's the key. Negotiating with yourself is the first step toward failure. Every time you say, "I'll just do it tomorrow," or "one day won't hurt," you are teaching your brain that your word means nothing. You are training yourself to be a liar. And you cannot build a destiny on a foundation of lies. We do not negotiate with our goals. You don't need their permission to set high standards. In fact, people will often try to talk you out of your standards. They will call you extreme. They will call you obsessed. They will tell you to relax and live a little. Ignore them. Their desire for you to relax is actually a desire for them to feel better about their own lack of discipline. Your standards are not for them, they are for you. They are the walls of your fortress. It's not about being rigid, it's about being reliable. Look at the world of elite performance. An airplane pilot doesn't negotiate with the pre-flight checklist. They don't say, "I'm in a hurry today, so I'll skip checking the fuel." They follow the standard because the standard ensures survival. Your life is no different. If you want your dreams to survive, you must have a checklist of non-negotiable actions that you perform every single day without fail. That's the key. When you remove the option to negotiate, you remove the stress of decision-making. If waking up at 5 a.m. is a non-negotiable standard, you don't have to argue with yourself when the alarm goes off. You don't have to look at the weather. You don't have to check how you feel. You just get up. The decision was made weeks ago. You are simply executing the order. We do not negotiate with our goals. You have a choice every time a temptation arises. You can listen to the voice of compromise, or you can listen to the voice of the standard. Compromise feels good in the moment, but it leaves a bitter taste of regret. The standard feels heavy in the moment, but it leaves the sweet taste of pride. It's not about the magnitude of the task, it's about the sanctity of the standard. Start small, but be absolute. If you decide to read 10 pages of a book every night, do it if the house is on fire. Do it if you have a fever. Do it if you are on vacation. By never breaking that small standard, you are building the integrity muscle. You are proving to your subconscious that when you say something is going to happen, it happens. This is how a weak mind becomes a fortress. It starts with one non-negotiable rule that you refuse to break. We do not negotiate with our goals. Most people are negotiators. They negotiate with their diet. They negotiate with their bank account. They negotiate with their potential. And as a result, they live a life of halfway. They are halfway fit, halfway successful, and halfway happy. You are not a negotiator. You are a commander. A commander issues an order, and the order is carried out. That's the key to building unbreakable mental toughness. It is the refusal to accept excuses from yourself. It is the realization that, one time, is the most dangerous phrase in the human language. One time leads to 2 times. 2 times leads to a habit. A habit leads to a lifestyle. Protect your standards with your life. It's not about the day you feel strong, it's about the day you feel weak. Anyone can keep their standards when they feel good. The elite keep their standards when they feel like garbage. That is the only time it actually counts. We do not negotiate with our goals. You don't need their permission to be obsessed with your standards. You don't need the world to understand why you do what you do. Your destiny is not a group project. It is a solo mission. Your standards are the fuel for that mission. If you lower your standards to fit in with the crowd, you will end up where the crowd is, stuck, broke, and complaining. Keep your standards high. Keep your circle tight. Keep your word to yourself. You have a choice. You can be a slave to your whims, or you can be a master through your mandates. The law of non-negotiable standards is the constitution of your new life. Read it, live it, enforce it. We do not negotiate with our goals. You have successfully defined your boundaries. You have realized that compromise is the poison of the soul. You are ready to stop being a negotiator and start being a man of absolute standards. You mastered the law of standards. Now, let's talk about why the world is trying to make you soft, and why you must fight back. Chapter 3. Comfort is a slow poison. We live in an age of convenience. Everything is designed to make your life easier, softer, and more comfortable. You can get food delivered without moving. You can entertain yourself for hours without thinking. You can avoid the cold, avoid the heat, and avoid any form of physical or mental friction. Society tells you that this is the goal. They tell you that comfort is the reward for your hard work. They are lying to you. Comfort is not a reward, it is a trap. It is a slow-acting poison that kills your ambition, dulls your mind, and rots your discipline from the inside out. You have a choice. You can have a comfortable life, or you can have a remarkable life. You cannot have both. Comfort is the enemy of the elite. Think about the nature of growth. Nothing grows in a state of ease. A muscle only grows when it is torn under the pressure of a heavy weight. A diamond only forms under intense heat and crushing pressure. Your character is no different. If you spend your life avoiding discomfort, you are choosing to remain small. You are choosing to stay weak. The moment you stop challenging yourself is the moment you begin to decline. There is no middle ground. You are either climbing, or you are sliding. That's the key. You must learn to crave the friction. You must become a seeker of discomfort. While the rest of the world is looking for the softest chair and the easiest path, you must look for the steep hill and the cold wind. You don't do this because you are a masochist, you do it because you are a strategist. You know that every time you endure discomfort, you are increasing your pain tolerance. And in the game of life, the person who can handle the most pain wins. Comfort is the enemy of the elite. You don't need their permission to be uncomfortable. In fact, people will think you are crazy. They will ask why you take cold showers in the winter. They will ask why you run in the rain. They will ask why you push yourself when you don't have to. They ask these questions because they are addicted to the poison. They are terrified of the very thing that would set them free. Do not let their fear become yours. It's not about the activity, it's about the callus on your mind. Look at the modern trap. We are surrounded by comfort monsters. People who complain if the room is 2 degrees too hot. People who quit a project the moment it gets frustrating. These people are fragile. They are easily broken by the slightest shift in the wind. You must be the opposite. You must be anti-fragile. You must be the person who gets stronger when things get harder. That's the key. If you can master yourself in the cold, you can master yourself in the boardroom. If you can master your hunger during a fast, you can master your anger during a confrontation. Discomfort is the ultimate training ground for discipline. It strips away the ego and leaves only the will. Chapter 4. Master the boredom of consistency. Greatness is not a mountain peak, it is a long, flat road that never ends. Most people fail because they think success is a series of exciting breakthroughs. They are looking for the viral moment, the big break, or the high-speed chase. But the reality of the elite is much quieter. It is repetitive. It is predictable. It is, quite frankly, boring. To build unbreakable mental toughness, you must learn to survive the monotony. You must learn to fall in love with the boredom of doing the right things every single day. You have a choice. You can be the person who starts with a bang and fades into a whisper, or you can be the person who keeps a steady rhythm until the world stops to listen. Win the boring moments. Think about the structure of a masterpiece. A masterpiece is not created in a single stroke of genius. It is the result of thousands of small, repetitive, and often tedious strokes. It is the writer who stares at a blank screen for 3 hours every morning. It is the coder who fixes the same bug for the 10th time. It is the athlete who runs the same route, in the same shoes, at the same time, for the 1000th day in a row. That's the key. Most people can handle the hard work when it's exciting. Very few can handle the hard work when it's boring. When the newness wears off and the grind kicks in, that is the filter of life. That is where the crowd thins out. If you can keep showing up when there is no applause, no audience, and no immediate result, you have already won. Win the boring moments. You don't need their permission to be consistent. Society thrives on the new trends, new news, new apps. It trains you to have an 8-second attention span. It trains you to crave constant stimulation. If you aren't entertained, you think something is wrong. But discipline is not entertainment. Discipline is a duty. The man who needs to be entertained to work is a man who will never achieve mastery. It's not about the excitement, it's about the execution. Look at the high performers paradox. The most successful people in the world are often the most boring in their habits. They eat the same meals. They follow the same routines. They work on the same problems for years. While everyone else is jumping from one shiny object to the next, the elite stay focused on the fundamentals. They know that the fundamentals are the only things that scale. That's the key. Mastery is just the fundamentals performed with absolute precision under pressure. And you cannot achieve that precision without thousands of hours of boring repetition. You must embrace the fact that your path to destiny will not always be a highlight reel. It will be a series of mundane Tuesdays where you did the work anyway. Win the boring moments. You have a choice every time you feel the urge to switch things up. Is it because the system isn't working, or is it just because you are bored? Usually, it's the latter. Boring means the system is working. Boring means you have reached a level of competence where the task no longer requires an emotional effort. This is where you must double down. This is where you find the extra 1%. It's not about the variety, it's about the volume. Stop looking for hacks to make the work more fun. The work isn't supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be effective. If you can perform at a high level when you are bored out of your mind, you are officially dangerous. You have removed your feelings from your output. You have become a machine of relentless consistency. Win the boring moments. The world is full of starters. People who have 100 half-finished projects because they quit as soon as the boredom set in. You are a finisher. You are the person who stays in the room until the lights go out. You are the person who does the last representative as perfectly as the first. You find a meditative peace in the repetition. You realize that each boring day is a brick in the wall of your fortress. That's the key to building a mind that does not know how to quit. You train yourself to find satisfaction in the process, not just the prize. You realize that the prize is just a byproduct of the man you became while doing the boring work. It's not about the destination, it's about the discipline. You don't need their permission to stay the course. You don't need the world to notice your daily grind. In fact, it's better if they don't. Let them think you are doing nothing. Let them think you have stalled. While they are busy chasing distractions, you are busy building a foundation that will eventually support a skyscraper. Win the boring moments. You have successfully identified the secret of the elite. You have realized that consistency is a superpower because it is so rare. You are ready to stop looking for the spark and start leaning into the grind. You mastered the boredom of consistency. Now, let's talk about why you must stop talking and start becoming the man you were meant to be. Chapter 5. Stop proving and start becoming. Most people are addicted to validation. They spend their energy trying to prove themselves to people they don't even like. They argue on the internet, they brag about their plans, and they try to convince their critics that they are smart, capable, or successful. This is a massive leak in your power. Every time you try to prove your worth to someone else, you are giving them control over your identity. You are saying, my value depends on your acknowledgement. To build unbreakable mental toughness, you must stop proving and start becoming. You have a choice. You can be a talker who seeks applause, or you can be a builder who seeks results. Move in silence, let the results speak. Think about the psychology of the brag. When you tell someone your big goals before you've achieved them, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine. You get the feeling of success without doing the work. This trick of the mind makes you less likely to actually execute. You've already received the social reward, so why put in the grueling effort? The elite do the opposite. They keep their mouth shut. They let the pressure of their goals build up inside them until the only way to release it is through massive action. That's the key. True confidence doesn't need a megaphone. If you are actually becoming a master of your craft, you don't need to tell people about it. The way you carry yourself, the quality of your work, and the results you produce will tell the story for you. When you stop trying to convince the world of your greatness, you free up all that wasted energy to actually build that greatness. Move in silence, let the results speak. You don't need their permission to change. You don't need your family to understand your vision. You don't need your friends to validate your new habits. In fact, seeking their approval is a trap. If they don't see the vision, they will try to pull you back to the old you. They want the version of you that makes them feel comfortable. When you stop proving your worth to them, you break the tether. You become a ghost to their expectations. It's not about your image, it's about your identity. Look at the difference between a performer and a producer. A performer does things for the camera. They post their gym selfies, their deep work setups, and their motivational quotes. They are focused on the appearance of discipline. A producer works when no one is watching. They sweat in the dark. They fail in private. They build their empire in the shadows. By the time the world notices them, the transformation is already complete. They didn't prove they were a success, they became a success. That's the key. You must value your own opinion of yourself more than anyone else's. When you look in the mirror at night, can you say you did the work? That is the only validation that matters. If the answer is yes, you don't need a like on a photo to feel accomplished. If the answer is no, 1,000 likes won't save your soul. Move in silence, let the results speak. You have a choice every time someone underestimates you. You can get angry and try to set the record straight, or you can smile and keep working. Their low expectations of you are a tactical advantage. Let them think you are failing. Let them think you are average. Use their ignorance as a shield while you sharpen your blade. The most satisfying victory is the one they never saw coming. It's not about the credit, it's about the conquest. Stop being a talker. Talkers are everywhere. They are loud, they are frequent, and they are empty. Producers are rare. They are quiet, they are focused, and they are heavy with results. Decide today that you will no longer participate in the game of who can talk the biggest. You are entering the game of who can become the greatest. Move in silence, let the results speak. The world is full of people who are right, but have nothing to show for it. Don't be one of them. It doesn't matter if you win the argument if you are losing at life. Every time you feel the urge to defend yourself or brag about your future, bite your tongue. Channel that energy back into your discipline. Turn that need to be seen into a need to be undeniable. That's the key to building a fortress of relentless consistency. You build it stone by stone, without a ribbon-cutting ceremony. You build it until it is so big that the world has no choice but to acknowledge its existence. You don't need to point at the fortress, it's right there. It's not about the noise, it's about the nature of the man. You don't need their permission to disappear for a year and reinvent yourself. You don't need to explain your absence. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. Your only job is to return as a version of yourself that is so far beyond their reach that they don't even recognize you. Move in silence, let the results speak. You have successfully shifted your focus from external noise to internal growth. You have realized that proving is for the insecure, but becoming is for the elite. You mastered the art of silence. Now, let's talk about the pain you will face on this journey, and how to make it your greatest ally. Chapter 6, The Pain of Discipline versus the Pain of Regret. Life is not a journey toward avoiding pain. Life is a journey of choosing which pain you are willing to carry. There is no such thing as a painless path. If you work hard, it hurts. If you don't work, it hurts differently. The difference is that one pain builds a palace, while the other builds a prison. To build unbreakable mental toughness, you must stop running from discomfort and start calculating the long-term cost of your choices. You must decide today which weight you would rather bear, the weight of the grind or the weight of what if. You have a choice. You can have the pain that leads to power, or the pain that leads to a slow death of the soul. Choose your pain. Think about the physical reality of discipline. When you push through that final set at the gym, your muscles scream. When you stay up late to finish a project, your eyes burn. When you say no to a night of partying to focus on your craft, your ego feels a sting of isolation. This is the pain of discipline. It is acute. It is temporary. And most importantly, it is productive. Like a surgeon's knife, it cuts only to heal. Every ounce of this pain you endure is an investment in a future version of yourself that is stronger, faster, and more capable. That's the key. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. The pain of discipline lasts for a few hours or a few days. The pain of regret lasts a lifetime. Regret is the heavy, suffocating realization that you had the potential to be great, but you were too cowardly to face the friction. Regret is looking in the mirror 20 years from now and seeing a stranger who gave up. You cannot outrun regret. It follows you to your grave. Choose your pain. You don't need their permission to suffer for your dreams. People will try to save you from your pain. They will tell you to take it easy, don't push so hard, or you're doing too much. They think they are being kind, but they are actually trying to weaken you. They want you to share in their comfortable mediocrity so they don't have to feel the sting of their own regret. Reject their kindness. The pain you feel in the pursuit of greatness is a badge of honor. It is the price of admission to the elite. It's not about avoiding the fire, it's about becoming the fire. Look at the default path. Most people spend their lives avoiding the pain of discipline. They choose the easy meal, the extra hour of sleep, and the comfortable job. For a few years, it feels great. They are living a painless life. But then, the bill comes due. The pain of regret arrives in the form of a failing body, a stagnant career, and a mind full of, I should have. By trying to avoid the ounces of discipline, they have accumulated tons of regret. They are being crushed by a weight they can no longer lift. That's the key. You must pay the price now, or you will pay it later with interest. There is no escape. The universe is a strict accountant. If you don't pay the price of success today through sweat and sacrifice, you will pay the price of failure tomorrow through sorrow and shame. When you choose the pain of discipline, you are paying up front. You are clearing your debt to your potential. Choose your pain. You have a choice every time you feel like quitting. You can listen to the immediate discomfort, or you can look at the long-term consequence. When your mind says, I'm tired, your spirit must answer, I'd rather be tired today than regretful tomorrow. Use the fear of regret as a weapon. Imagine yourself at 80 years old, looking back at this very moment. Would that version of you want you to quit? Or would they give anything to have your youth and one more chance to do the work? It's not about the struggle, it's about the sanctity of the mission. Stop being fragile. Stop acting like a little bit of sweat or a few hours of hunger is a crisis. Humans are built to endure. Your ancestors survived wars, famines, and migrations. You can survive a difficult Monday. Every time you push through a moment where you wanted to quit, you are callousing your soul. You are making yourself less susceptible to the pain of the world. You are becoming unshakable. Choose your pain. The world is full of could-haves. People who had the talent, the timing, and the opportunity, but lacked the discipline to face the pain. They are the loudest critics because their regret has turned into bitterness. Don't join their ranks. Let the pain of discipline be your teacher. Let it show you what you are truly made of. When you embrace the grind, you realize that the pain isn't an obstacle, it's the evidence of your growth. That's the key to building a fortress of relentless consistency. You realize that feeling good is not a requirement for doing good. You can be in pain and still be productive. You can be exhausted and still be disciplined. Once you separate your performance from your comfort, you become a god among men. You are no longer controlled by the weather of your emotions. It's not about the ease, it's about the effort. You don't need their permission to choose the hard road. You don't need a cheerleader to tell you it's worth it. The results will tell you it's worth it. The pride you feel when you complete a task you didn't want to do is a drug far more powerful than any temporary comfort. That pride is the foundation of true self-esteem. It is the knowledge that you are a man of your word. Choose your pain. You have successfully weighed the two options. You have realized that comfort is just regret in disguise. You are ready to stop fearing the grind and start fearing the wasted life. You mastered the choice of pain. Now, let's talk about the world around you, and how to stop your environment from sabotaging your destiny. Chapter 7. Your environment is your enemy. Most people believe that discipline is purely a battle of willpower. They think that if they were just stronger, they could resist any temptation. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of human biology. Willpower is like a battery, it drains every time you use it. If you spend your entire day fighting against a chaotic environment, your battery will be dead by 6 p.m. To build unbreakable mental toughness, you must stop fighting your environment and start designing it. You must realize that if you do not curate your surroundings will curate your failure. You have a choice. You can be a victim of your circumstances, or you can be the architect of your success. Design your world to win. Think about the invisible forces pulling at you. If you are trying to eat clean but your kitchen is full of junk food, you have to win a battle every time you get hungry. If you are trying to work deeply but your phone is buzzing with notifications every 30 seconds, you have to win a battle every time you lose focus. You might win those battles 10 times, but on the 11th time, when you are tired or stressed, you will lose. The elite don't win more battles, they simply have fewer battles to fight. They remove the triggers of failure before they ever have to face them. That's the key. You don't need more willpower, you need less friction. If you want to wake up early, put your alarm clock on the other side of the room. If you want to work on your business, delete the social media apps that steal your time. If you want to be a person of focus, create a space that is dedicated to nothing but focus. By making the wrong things hard to do and the right things easy to do, you make discipline the path of least resistance. Design your world to win. You don't need their permission to change your circle. Your environment isn't just the objects around you, it's the people around you. If you hang out with 5 people who have no ambition, no discipline, and no standards, you will inevitably become the 6th. They will normalize your excuses. They will make your laziness feel comfortable. You must be ruthless. If the people in your life are not fueling your fire, they are pouring water on it. You cannot soar with eagles if you are hanging out with chickens. It's not about being better than them, it's about protecting your frequency. Look at the digital environment. Your phone is the most dangerous tool in your life. It is a portal to everyone else's agenda. If the first thing you do in the morning is check your emails or scroll through news, you have already lost. You have allowed the world to dictate your mood. To be unshakable, you must create a digital fortress. Set boundaries. Use do not disturb mode like a shield. Do not let the digital noise drown out your internal command. That's the key. You are the average of the inputs you allow into your mind. What are you listening to? What are you watching? Who are you talking to? If your inputs are trash, your output will be trash. If your inputs are discipline, power, and growth, your output will be greatness. You must guard the gates of your mind as if your life depends on it, because it does. Design your world to win. You have a choice every time you enter a room. Does this space make me stronger or weaker? If your bedroom is a mess, your mind will be a mess. If your car is full of trash, your habits will be trash. Order in your physical world creates order in your internal world. Take control of the small things. Clean your desk. Organize your schedule. Prepare your clothes for the next day. These small acts of environmental design are the building blocks of a disciplined life. It's not about the aesthetics, it's about the accountability. Stop making it hard for yourself. You are already fighting a war against your own biology and the distractions of the world. Why fight your own environment too? Every time you prepare your environment for success, you are sending a message to your subconscious, we are serious about this. Failure is not an option here. You are creating a temple of discipline, where only the best version of you is allowed to exist. Design your world to win. The world is designed to keep you distracted, hungry, and impulsive. It wants you to stay in the consumer environment. But you are a producer. You are a creator. You are a commander. That means you must create your own microclimate of excellence. No matter how chaotic the world is outside, your internal and immediate environment must be a sanctuary of order and focus. That's the key to building a fortress of relentless consistency. You realize that you cannot control the wind, but you can absolutely control the sails. You don't wait for the world to become disciplined. You build a world where discipline is the only option. It's not about the external chaos, it's about the internal architecture. You don't need their permission to be boring, or antisocial. You don't need to explain why you don't watch TV or why you don't answer texts immediately. Your environment is your business. Your results are your evidence. Let the world stay messy while you stay sharp. Design your world to win. You have successfully audited your surroundings. You have realized that you are a product of what you tolerate. You are ready to stop being a passive observer and start being an active designer. You mastered your environment. Now, let's talk about the danger of the one-day break, and how to protect the most valuable asset you have, your momentum. Chapter 8. The cost of one missed rep. Most people think that skipping one day doesn't matter. They tell themselves, it's just one workout, it's just one morning of sleeping in, or, I'll make it up tomorrow. This is a catastrophic error in judgment. Missing a scheduled task isn't just about the lost progress of that specific day, it is about the destruction of your momentum. Momentum is the most powerful force in the universe for an achiever, and it is the hardest thing to get back once it's gone. To build unbreakable mental toughness, you must understand that the cost of one missed representative is far higher than the effort it takes to complete it. You have a choice. You can protect your momentum like your life depends on it, or you can spend your life constantly trying to restart. Never break the chain. Think about the physics of success. It takes massive energy to get a rocket off the ground, but once it's in orbit, it moves with very little effort. Your discipline is the same. The first few weeks of a new habit are grueling because you are fighting gravity. But once you have momentum, the habit starts to carry you. When you skip a day, you aren't just pausing, you are falling back to earth. You are forcing yourself to go through the launch phase all over again. That is why most people never get anywhere. They spend their entire lives in the launch phase, constantly starting over because they didn't have the discipline to stay in orbit. That's the key. One miss is an accident, two misses is the start of a new habit, a habit of failing. Every time you show up when you don't want to, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you skip, you are casting a vote for the person you are trying to leave behind. Your subconscious is always watching. It is keeping a record of your integrity. When you break your word to yourself, you lose your own respect. And without self-respect, you can never have self-discipline. Never break the chain. You don't need their permission to be unreasonable about your streak. People will tell you that you are being too hard on yourself. They will say, it's okay to take a break. They don't understand that for a man of destiny, a break is a breach of contract. Your contract is with your future self. That future version of you is counting on you to show up today. Not because today's work is particularly special, but because the act of showing up is what keeps the machine running. It's not about the result of the representative, it's about the reputation with yourself. Look at the high performer's secret. They aren't necessarily smarter or more talented than you. They are just more consistent. They have a never miss twice rule. If life genuinely gets in the way and they miss once, they treat it like an emergency. They don't wait for next Monday. They get back on track immediately, at the very next opportunity. They realize that a gap in the chain is a leak in their power. That's the key. The day you feel the least like doing the work is the most important day to do it. Why? Because that is the day you prove to your brain that your schedule is non-negotiable. If you only work when it's easy, you are a fair-weather soldier. If you work when it's hard, you are a warrior. The reps you do on your worst days are the ones that actually build the muscle of discipline. The easy days are just maintenance. Never break the chain. You have a choice every time you feel an excuse forming in your mind. You can let that excuse break your momentum, or you can use it as fuel to prove your strength. When you are traveling, when you are sick, when you are overwhelmed, do something. Even if it's a reduced version of your habit, do not zero out. Do 10 push-ups instead of 50. Write one paragraph instead of a chapter. Just keep the fire burning. A small flame is easy to grow, a cold hearth takes an hour to light. It's not about the quantity, it's about the continuity. Stop being a restarter. Stop being the person who is always getting back into it. That cycle is exhausting and demoralizing. Decide today that the chain will not break. Decide that your word to yourself is the highest law in your universe. When you become a person who never misses, you develop a quiet, lethal confidence. You know that as long as the clock is ticking, you are moving forward. Never break the chain. The world wants you to break. It wants you to be normal and take the weekends off from your dreams. But you are building a fortress of relentless consistency. And a fortress with a hole in the wall is no fortress at all. Every day you show up is another stone in that wall. Every day you skip is a stone you've thrown away. That's the key to building a mind that does not know how to quit. You make the doing more important than the feeling. You realize that your momentum is your greatest asset. If you protect it, it will eventually move mountains for you. If you betray it, you will spend your life staring at the base of the mountain, wondering why it's so hard to climb. It's not about the finish line, it's about the frequency. You don't need their permission to be obsessed with your streak. Let them call you a fanatic. Let them call you a machine. A machine doesn't care about excuses. A machine just runs. And a machine that never stops will eventually outpace everyone who relies on inspiration. Never break the chain. You have successfully understood the gravity of momentum. You have realized that, just once, is the lie that kills empires. You are ready to stop restarting and start arriving. You mastered the cost of the missed representative. Now, let's talk about how to detach your happiness from the outcome and focus entirely on the process. Chapter 9. Emotional detachment from results. Most people are slaves to the scoreboard. They work hard for a day, look for a result, and if they don't see it, they get discouraged. Their effort is tied to their emotions, and their emotions are tied to immediate gratification. This is why they quit. They are looking for the harvest before they have even finished planting the seeds. To build unbreakable mental toughness, you must master the art of emotional detachment. You must learn to work with intensity while remaining completely indifferent to the outcome. You have a choice. You can be a victim of your expectations, or you can be a master of your actions. Trust the process, ignore the scoreboard. Think about the psychology of the elite. A master archer does not focus on the trophy, they focus on the grip, the breath, and the release. They know that if the process is perfect, the arrow hitting the bullseye is an inevitable mathematical conclusion. If you focus on the win, you become anxious. If you focus on the work, you become lethal. Anxiety drains your energy, focus multiplies it. When you detach from the result, you remove the fear of failure. And when you are not afraid to fail, you become impossible to stop. That's the key. Results are often outside of your direct control. You can't control the market, you can't control the weather, and you can't control other people's opinions. But you have 100% control over your effort. If you tie your happiness to things you cannot control, you are choosing to be miserable. But if you tie your satisfaction to your own discipline, you can be happy every single day, regardless of what the world does. Trust the process, ignore the scoreboard. You don't need their permission to be proud of your work. Society wants you to wait for the promotion, the award, or the public recognition before you feel successful. They want you to stay hungry for their validation. Reject that cycle. Your validation comes from the fact that you did what you said you were going to do. If you put in 8 hours of deep work, you have won. Period. The external success is just a lagging indicator of the man you are already becoming. It's not about the trophy, it's about the training. Look at the delayed gratification gap. This is the space between the work and the reward. Most people fall into this gap and disappear. They can't handle the silence. They can't handle the months or years of working in obscurity without a well done. But the elite thrive in this gap. They realize that the longer the delay, the bigger the eventual reward. They don't need a hit of dopamine every 10 minutes to keep going. Their discipline is self-sustaining. That's the key. You must fall in love with the boring work. You must find a meditative joy in the repetition, the struggle, and the grind. When the work itself becomes the reward, you have achieved the ultimate level of power. You are no longer working for a living, you are living for the work. At this stage, the external world has no leverage over you. You are unbribable and unshakable. Trust the process, ignore the scoreboard. You have a choice every time you face a setback. You can see it as a failure, or you can see it as data. If you are emotionally attached, a setback feels like a personal insult. It hurts your ego. But if you are detached, a setback is just feedback. It's the universe telling you to adjust your technique. You don't get emotional about a math problem being wrong, you just find the error and try again. Treat your life like that math problem. It's not about the win, it's about the wisdom. Stop being a outcome junkie. Stop checking your views, your bank account, or your scale every 5 minutes. Those numbers are distractions. They pull you out of the present moment and into a future that hasn't happened yet. The only now that matters is the one where you are doing the work. If you take care of the nows, the laters will take care of themselves. Trust the process, ignore the scoreboard. The world is full of people who are almost successful. They worked hard until they got close, and then they got distracted by the anticipation of the result. They started celebrating before the job was done, and they lost their edge. Do not celebrate until the mission is complete. And even then, keep your eyes on the next mission. A true professional doesn't linger on a victory, they get back to the process. That's the key to building a fortress of relentless consistency. You realize that your value is not determined by your wins or losses. Your value is determined by your commitment to the path. If you stay on the path, you are an elite human being. Everything else is just noise. It's not about the finish line, it's about the footsteps. You don't need their permission to be satisfied with your effort. You don't need the scoreboard to tell you who you are. You know who you are. You are the man who shows up. You are the man who executes. You are the man who trusts the law of cause and effect. Trust the process, ignore the scoreboard. You have successfully detached your ego from your outcomes. You have realized that the work is the only true reward. You are ready to stop looking for shortcuts and start leaning into the eternal grind. You mastered emotional detachment. Now, let's bring it all together and talk about how to turn these lessons into a permanent identity, the final level of your transformation. Chapter 10. Destiny is a daily choice. We have reached the end of the blueprint, but we are at the beginning of your life. Most people think that destiny is a destination, a place you arrive at after years of struggle. They think once they make it, they can finally relax. They are wrong. Destiny is not a finish line, it is a frequency. It is a state of being that you must choose every single time you open your eyes in the morning. To build unbreakable mental toughness, you must realize that your future is not some distant dream, it is the sum total of what you do in the next 60 minutes. You have a choice. You can be a spectator of your life, or you can be the commander of your fate. Discipline is destiny. Think about the architecture of a human life. We like to tell stories of grand transformations and overnight success, but those are myths. A life is built in the microscopic moments. It is built in the choice to put down the phone. It is built in the choice to speak the truth when it's uncomfortable. It is built in the choice to finish the last representative when no one is watching. Your destiny is being written right now, by your hand, through your actions. If you master the minute, you master the hour. If you master the hour, you master the day. If you master the day, you master your life. That's the key. You are not a victim of your past, and you are not a prisoner of your circumstances. You are the result of your choices. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you are rewriting your DNA. You are moving away from the average version of yourself and toward the elite version. This isn't something that happens once, it is something that must happen forever. The moment you think you have arrived is the moment you become vulnerable. True mastery is the realization that the work is never done. Discipline is destiny. You don't need their permission to be a legend. Society wants you to wait for a title, a degree, or a formal appointment before you act like a leader. They want you to stay in your lane. But a man of silent power doesn't wait for a lane, he builds his own road. You start acting like the person you want to become long before the world recognizes you as that person. You don't get the results and then become disciplined. You become disciplined and then the results have no choice but to follow. It's not about the goal, it's about the growth. Look at the final filter. This is where most people fail. They learn the information, they feel the inspiration, but they never make the permanent shift in identity. They go back to their old environments, their old friends, and their old excuses. They treat discipline like a jacket they can take off when it gets too hot. You must treat discipline like your skin. It is part of you. It is who you are. When discipline becomes your identity, you no longer have to try to be tough. You just are. That's the key. You must stop identifying as someone who is trying to be disciplined, and start identifying as someone who is disciplined. A disciplined person doesn't wonder if they should work today. A disciplined person doesn't negotiate with their alarm clock. A disciplined person doesn't seek validation from the crowd. They simply execute because that is what they do. This shift from doing to being is the final step in your transformation. Discipline is destiny. You have a choice every single second. You are standing at a crossroads in every moment of your existence. One path leads to the easy life of the masses, a life of comfort, regret, and what-ifs. The other path leads to the hard life of the elite, a life of struggle, pride, and power. You have already tasted the power. You have already seen the blueprint. To go back now would be a betrayal of your own soul. You know too much to ever be comfortably mediocre again. It's not about the burden, it's about the bridge. Discipline is the only bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It is the only thing that can turn a dream into a reality. Without discipline, your talent is a waste. Without discipline, your ambition is a fantasy. Without discipline, your life is an accident. But with it, you are a force of nature. You are unshakable. You are undeniable. Discipline is destiny. The world is waiting to see if you are serious. It will throw obstacles in your way. It will give you reasons to quit. It will test your resolve with fire and ice. Do not complain about the tests, celebrate them. Each test is an opportunity to prove that your new identity is real. Each struggle is a chance to show the world that you are no longer a puppet of your emotions. You are the master of your mind. That's the key to the entire art of silent power. It was never about the external world. It was always about you. It was about your ability to look at the chaos and remain calm. It was about your ability to look at the pain and remain focused. It was about your ability to look at the boredom and remain consistent. It's not about the world's noise, it's about your inner silence. You don't need their permission to win. You don't need the world to agree with your methods. You only need to keep the promise you made to yourself when you started this journey. You are a man of relentless consistency. You are a man of unbreakable mental toughness. You are a man whose destiny is firmly in his own hands. Discipline is destiny. You have successfully completed the blueprint. You have mastered the 10 pillars of the unshakable mind. Now, the talking stops and the living begins. The recording will end, but the grind never does. Go out there and make your choices count. Show the world what a man of true discipline looks like. Win in silence. Discipline is your destiny.